Hi, welcome back to another Daily Lore. Sorry I didn't post Monday. I completely forgot to record. So yeah, that's my fault. My fault. But obviously, like before, same thing. Post all week. Okay, let's get into this next one.
My husband of 10 years told me I was too broken to be a mother, so I quietly packed my bags while he was at work. 3 years later, I now foster teens that everyone else gave up on. Yesterday he showed up at my door, begging to come back. I've changed, he said. I just pointed to the family photo behind me, 5 smiling teenagers who call me mom. I never thought my marriage would end the way it did. 10 years of building a life with someone I thought was my best friend, my partner, my future. We talked about having kids since our second date. Both of us wanted a big family, a house filled with laughter, chaos, and love. But month after month, year after year, those two pink lines never appeared. After 4 years,
Ooh, yeah. And then obviously, for people that actually want kids, that can't have kids, I wouldn't say always, but I would assume somebody would, one of you would probably grow resentment or something. I don't know, something like that towards the other. So, of course, you're probably gonna have a terrible outlook on your wife you married, or vice versa. Well, mainly your wife, but it would go the other way as well.
of trying naturally, we started fertility treatments. The emotional roller coaster was brutal, the hope at the beginning of each cycle, followed by the crushing disappointment when it failed. Again. And again. And again. I gained weight from the hormones. My mood swung wildly. I cried at commercials, at baby announcements, at the sight of pregnant women in the grocery store. But Ryan was always there, holding me, telling me we'd get through this together.
This is a custom seat gap strip for your car. Suitable for almost all models.
Ryan was always there, holding me, telling me we'd get through this together. Or so I thought. The breaking point came after our third failed IVF attempt. We'd spent nearly all our savings, maxed out credit cards, even taken a second mortgage on our house. The financial strain was almost as heavy as the emotional one. I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, numb from the latest news that none of our embryos had been viable. Ryan came in and sat on the edge of the bed. I expected comfort, a hug, maybe even tears shared between us. Instead, he looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before, a mixture of pity and disgust that made my stomach drop before he even spoke. Maybe this is the universe telling us something, he said. Maybe you're just not meant to be a mother. I remember feeling like I'd been slapped. I corrected him. Maybe we aren't meant to be parents. This isn't just about me. That's when he said it, the words that would replay in my mind for months afterward. The doctor said my sperm count is fine. You're the one who's broken. And honestly, Ellie, I don't think you're emotionally stable enough to be a mom anyway. Look at what these treatments have done to you. Broken.
Of course, I mean, their treatments, they have side effects. Like my God, if you have like no side effects, that means there's something wrong with you. I wouldn't really classify this as a reason why you shouldn't be a mother. Like I said, I had a feeling he would grow resentment or something like that.
That's how my husband of 10 years saw me. Not as someone going through an incredibly difficult time, not as his partner in grief, but as something damaged and insufficient. In that moment, looking at the stranger wearing my husband's face, I realized our marriage had been over for a while. I just hadn't wanted to see it. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just got very, very quiet. I nodded and turned away, pretending to sleep until I heard him leave for work the next morning. Then I got up, called in sick to my job as an elementary school librarian, and started packing. I didn't take much, just clothes, personal items, a few cherished books, and photos from before I met Ryan.
I mean, that makes sense. The marriage is over. I mean, what sane person would stay after hearing all that?
I left my wedding ring on the nightstand with a simple note: "You're right. I am broken. But not in the way you think. Goodbye." I transferred half of our joint savings to my personal account, far less than what I'd contributed to our fertility treatments, got in my car, and drove away from the life I'd spent a decade building. I crashed on my college roommate Tessa's couch for 2 weeks while I found an apartment and a new job. Ryan called constantly at first, alternating between apologizing and accusing me of overreacting. I blocked it.
Overreacting? My dude, you said she was broken.
His number. His family reached out, and I blocked them too. Our mutual friends tried to mediate, suggesting therapy, begging me to just talk to him. I declined. Some were understanding, others thought I was being dramatic. He said one thoughtless thing in a moment of grief, they'd say. Everyone makes mistakes.
I don't think he said in a thoughtless moment. I think he thought about it. Because if it was thoughtless, I think he would have said that a long time ago. I mean, 4 years of trying it and 3 failed attempts of whatever IVF or whatever it's called. I think he would have said it a long time ago if it was just thoughtless. He would, if it was thoughtless, he would bring it up at some stupid time. He wouldn't bring it up on, he wouldn't walk in the room, sit on the edge of the bed and start a conversation like that. That's not thoughtless. That's completely thinking.
But it wasn't just one thoughtless comment. It was the culmination of 1,000 small moments where he'd centered his pain over mine, where he'd subtly blamed me, where he'd withdrawn his support while maintaining the appearance of the devoted husband. Once I started looking back with clear eyes, I could see the pattern. 6 months after leaving, I started therapy. Not to save my marriage, the divorce was already finalized by then, with minimal contact through our lawyers, but to save myself. I needed to understand why I'd stayed with someone who could view me that way, and how to ensure I never put myself in that position again.
Mainly comfort. That's pretty much it. Plus, you were in an emotional state. That's also another reason. Um, Stuff like that.
Healing wasn't linear. There were days when I functioned perfectly well at my new job at a different school district's library, nights when I curled up in a ball on my bathroom floor, sobbing until my throat was raw. There were moments when I hated Ryan with a passion that scared me, and quieter times when I just felt profound sadness for what could have been. My therapist suggested I volunteer somewhere to help rebuild my sense of purpose. After considering several options, I signed up with a local organization that worked with foster teens. Once a week, I'd help run a small library program, teaching them creative writing and basic research skills. Most of these kids had been in the system for years, bounced between homes, labeled as difficult or unadoptable because of their age or behavior issues. They reminded me of myself, not the broken woman Ryan had described, but the angry, hurt child I'd been after losing my own parents in a car accident when I was 14. I'd spent 4 years in foster care myself, cycling through 3 different homes before aging out of the system. It was something I rarely talked about, even with Ryan. He knew the basic facts, but not the emotional reality of it. He'd grown up in a picture-perfect suburban family and couldn't really understand what it meant to be unwanted. But these teens understood. And somehow, they sensed that I understood them too. They tested me at first, as foster kids do with every adult who claims to care. They were rude, disruptive, occasionally cruel. I remained steady. I'd seen worse, been through worse. Eventually, trust grew. 18 months after leaving Ryan, I completed the certification process to become a foster parent myself. My apartment wasn't big enough for a placement, so I used some of my divorce settlement to put a down payment on a small 3-bedroom house in a good school district. My first placement was Zach, a 16-year-old boy who'd been in 9 different homes since age 7. He had anger issues, struggled in school, and was labeled a flight risk because he'd run away from his last 3 placements. His social worker warned me that he'd probably do the same with me. He tried to run on the 3rd night. I found him stuffing clothes into his backpack at 2 a.m. Instead of stopping him, I packed him a proper lunch, gave him $50 for emergencies only, and told him I'd leave the porch light on. He stared at me like I'd lost.
I mean, because most kids, obviously, if you stop them, they would obviously want to leave more. But if you actually help them, they would question you. I wouldn't say all kids, But a lot of kids will be like, wait a minute, what? You want me to leave? You're actively helping me leave. And you're leaving a porch light on in case I come back.
My mind, then stormed out anyway. He came back 4 hours later, cold and confused by my reaction. Aren't you going to
Yep.
call my social worker? Get rid of me? No, I told him simply. I told them I could handle it. I can. That was the beginning of something remarkable. Zach stayed. Not just physically in my home, but emotionally present too. Slowly, he opened up about his birth parents' drug addiction, the abuse he'd suffered in some foster homes, the constant feeling that no one wanted him around. I shared some of my own experiences, including Ryan's cruel words that had inadvertently set me on this path. He was wrong, Zach told me one night, after a particularly rough therapy session we'd attended together. You're not broken. You're the strongest person I know. Over the next year and a half, 4 more teens joined our unconventional family. Maya, who'd been sexually abused and trusted no one. Twins Derek and Diana, whose mother had died of cancer and whose father was in prison. And finally Eli, a brilliant but troubled 15-year-old who'd been labeled oppositional because he questioned everything and everyone. They weren't
What? They question everything and everyone? That just sounds like a curious mind.
easy kids. They had nightmares, panic attacks, explosive anger. They tested boundaries, broke rules, and sometimes each other's belongings during arguments. But they were also funny, creative, resilient young people who deserved someone who wouldn't give up on them. We became a family, messy and complicated, but fiercely loyal. Yesterday marked exactly 3 years since I'd walked away from my marriage. I was in the kitchen helping Maya with her college applications. She's our first senior, planning to study social work next fall, when the doorbell rang. Eli ran to answer it, yelling back, "Mom. Some guy is asking for you." I froze at the familiar voice responding to Eli. Ryan. Standing on my porch, looking older but still handsome, holding a bouquet of lilies, my favorite. I stepped outside, closing the door behind me. "What are you doing here?" I asked, arms crossed. He launched into what was clearly a rehearsed speech about regret, growth, therapy, and realizing what he'd thrown away. "I've changed," he insisted, eyes pleading.
Sure. I'm sure you have. But I mean, could have changed a long time ago, honestly. You could have got help so long ago, but nope, you didn't. I mean, he might have changed, honestly. It's been 3 years, of course. Change is not instant, so, I mean, he could have changed, but, I mean, that's over. Honestly, I think the love she has for you was obviously long gone when you told her she was broken. That to me, that's like that's breaks something inside of you.
I know now that what I said was cruel and wrong. I was grieving and took it out on you. I've never stopped loving you, Ellie. I didn't feel anger or pain or even satisfaction at seeing him humbled. Just a profound awareness of how completely my life had transformed. Without a word, I opened the door behind me, gesturing to the framed photo on the wall, all 5 of my foster kids and me, grinning widely on a hiking trip, arms around each other. "These are my kids," I said simply. "The ones everyone else gave up on. The ones society called too broken to be loved. Turns out they just needed someone who understood what that felt like." Ryan stared at the photo, then back at me, comprehension slowly dawning. I wasn't the broken woman he'd discarded. I had built something beautiful from those shattered pieces. "I'm happy for you," he finally said, and I could tell he meant it, even as disappointment clouded his features. I smiled then, genuinely. "I'm happy for me too." As I watched him walk back to his car, I felt no regret, no what-ifs. Sometimes the things that break us open are exactly what we need to become who we're meant to be. I closed the door and returned to my family, the one I created from scratch, bound not by blood but by the understanding that none of us are truly broken, just waiting for the right place to belong.
The new Samsung S25 Ultra in a mouse case!
Honestly, true. You just need to find the right family where you belong, pretty much. That's all you need to do. It might be hard, obviously. It's not easier said than done, of course. But I mean, once you find the people you belong to, then obviously everything will be a lot easier. Well, I wouldn't say a lot easier. There'll still be hard times. There'll be it would feel like a family, obviously. Of course. Okay. My husband of 10 years told me I was too broken to be a mother, so I quietly packed my bags. Wow. And that's by his Reddit story react. Hope you have a nice day, a good evening, nice night, and good morning. Okay, bye.